Fast food used to feel like the one constant in American life. The glowing arches, the buzzing fryers, the bright signs promising comfort at any hour. Everything was built on the belief that the country's hunger would never slow down. But when you look around in 2025, the cracks are hard to ignore. Drive-through lines don't stretch like they used to. The energy inside the stores feels thinner. And the brands that once owned every lunch break are now quietly fighting for relevance. Inflation struck first. Then came delivery apps, rising rent, and a shift toward healthier eating. One by one, industry giants started shrinking, closing locations, rewriting menus, or desperately trying to reinvent themselves. This downturn isn't about flavor anymore. It's about survival. And the harsh truth is that even the most iconic names can start fading without anyone realizing. Here are 10 fast food chains that once shaped America's appetite and are now struggling to stay in the race. 1. McDonald's. In early 2025, McDonald's U.S. same-store sales dropped by about 3.5%, its sharpest fall since the pandemic. For a brand famous for consistency, that number felt like an alarm bell. It wasn't just about fewer customers. It was the first real sign that the once unshakable empire was feeling pressure. And a big reason is price. A simple meal that used to feel like a small treat now approaches $15 in some cities. The fries still look perfect, the arches still shine, but something in the value equation changed. People stopped buying comfort, they started weighing cost. Inside the stores, the vibe shifted too. Self-serve kiosks replaced greetings. Smaller crews juggle bigger tasks, trying to keep up while the atmosphere grows quieter. Speed used to define McDonald's. Now efficiency does, and they're not the same thing. Globally, the company continues to dominate, but in the U.S., the foundation shakes. Rising labor costs, high rent, and delivery app fees cut into profit. To survive, the brand trims everything: labor, packaging, even menu complexity. Each cut saves money, but chips away at the warm familiarity people once felt. This isn't a dramatic collapse, it's a slow dimming of a place that once felt like a part of everyone's routine. In some towns, 24-hour stores now close early. In others, locals choose cheaper diners that still greet them with a smile and a refill. The arches remain bright on the highways, but their glow feels different, less like a promise and more like a memory. 2. Subway. The bread ovens still steam, but fewer customers wait around to breathe it in. Posters on the windows fade, and the old "Eat Fresh" slogan feels tired. Inside, one person builds sandwiches while watching more people walk past than walk in. The store stays lit, but the energy doesn't. The numbers back that feeling. In 2024 alone, Subway shut down more than 600 U.S. locations, sinking below the 20,000 store milestone for the first time in decades. By 2025, the closures kept coming, not due to scandal, but exhaustion. The brand that once symbolized growth now survives mostly on nostalgia. The problem goes beyond food. Subway's customize everything concept eventually stopped feeling empowering. Choosing ingredients became a chore. The routine got old. The excitement disappeared. At its peak, Subway was everywhere, so much so that it stopped feeling special. When something sits on every corner, it becomes background noise. Add rising franchise fees, tighter rules from corporate, and thinning profits, and the system began to buckle. Some owners walked away, unable to keep up with the pressure. The company refreshed its look with new signs and kiosks, but design can't fix disconnection. The meaning of fresh changed, and prepackaged veggies couldn't keep up with new, trendier options. Today, empty Subway outlines remain on storefronts near gas stations and grocery plazas, faint reminders of a brand that once dominated quick lunches. It's not gone, but the feeling it represented has faded. Subway's biggest challenge wasn't hunger, it was monotony. And in a world full of choices, repetition is what pushed the chain off the pedestal.
Number 3. Burger King.
"I used to come here for the smell," a man mumbles while waiting for his order. "Now it just smells tired." It sounds like casual small talk, but it quietly captures Burger King's 2025 reality. The flame still burns on the signs, the wrappers, the ads, but the warmth feels different. It's not excitement anymore, it's upkeep. Even after pouring hundreds of millions into its flame revival plan, the momentum barely moved. Sales stayed flat, franchise owners struggled, and customer satisfaction slipped another notch. The crown still stands tall on billboards, but what it represents has dimmed. Once, Burger King felt bold, the place where you could get your burger your way, the scrappy challenger to the Golden Arches. Now it blends into the noise of every other fast food chain fighting for the same customer. The issue isn't that Burger King lost its fire, it's that everyone else learned to spark one too. McDonald's upgraded its patties, Wendy's built a stronger digital world, and boutique burger brands started grilling with real flames and real stories. Stuck between the old days and the new demands, Burger King kept repeating its past instead of refreshing its future. Inside the stores, the shift is visible. Remodels look cleaner but emptier. Kiosks glow brightly but feel borrowed from other chains. Limited time offers appear and vanish so quickly they barely land. And that once proud slogan, "Have it your way," feels almost ironic when the choice mostly boils down to picking another sauce. Inflation made things worse. Franchise owners complained about rising beef prices, thinner profits, and costly required remodels. Many quietly sold their stores to investment groups just to escape the pressure. More corporate ownership meant fewer familiar faces and more spaces that felt polished but lifeless. Brand experts call this drift. Burger King once thrived because it was the outsider, the rebel, the number two with a personality. But a rebel without direction ends up just making noise. Customers who once loved that smoky flavor now scroll past it, picking something newer, something that feels like it still knows who it is. That flame-grilled scent still hangs in the air, warm, nostalgic, a little heavy. But like the smell after a dying campfire, it reminds you more of yesterday than today. Because when rebellion becomes routine, even a crown starts to rust. A kingdom can't stay alive if it forgets what made it special. Number 4. Wendy's. Wendy's U.S. same-store sales dropped about 2.8% in early 2025, a chill that cut through nearly a decade of steady progress. For a brand built on fresh, never frozen, the dip felt like a warning breeze. Executives quickly lowered expectations, blamed inflation, and pointed to quieter drive-thrus nationwide. On the surface, everything still looks familiar. The red pigtail mascot smiles from the cup, the fries are crisp, the chili is warm. But step inside, and the rhythm has changed. Headsets crackle. Employees stand waiting instead of rushing. Orders come in slower, smaller, less certain. The digital screens that once sparked excitement now scroll past unnoticed. The price problem sits at the center. Combos that used to cost $7 or $8 now hover near $11. That puts Wendy's in an awkward place. Too pricey for bargain hunters, not elevated enough for premium diners. McDonald's wins on scale. Shake Shack wins on identity. Wendy's sits between the two, squeezed from both ends. The brand tried to push through with digital upgrades, but delivery fees wiped out its value pitch, and app deals taught customers to wait for coupons instead of showing up freely. What was meant to feel modern ended up feeling transactional. Even loyal fans, the ones who loved Wendy's for its square patties and snappy Twitter personality, have drifted away not because of anger, but fatigue. Inside the stores, cost control quietly reshaped everything. Shorter hours, smaller crews, more automation. The menu grew cluttered with new flavors and limited editions, each one fighting to keep attention alive. Ghost pepper this, bacon that. The sound of a brand trying to stay in the conversation while cutting corners behind the scenes. Yet Wendy's decline isn't dramatic. It's subtle, polite even. No scandals, no loud collapse, just a gentle stepping back. The kind of slip you don't notice until you pass a location that used to glow under red lights, but now sits dark. Wendy's isn't disappearing, it's pausing. Stuck between the charming, warm identity that built it and the leaner, more mechanical version it feels pressured to become. And for a brand that once prided itself on friendliness, nothing cools faster than indecision. Number 5. KFC. Think back for a moment. When was the last time you actually sat inside a KFC? Not grabbing a bucket through a drive-thru, not tapping an app, but actually sitting beneath those bright red panels with the warm, peppery aroma floating through the air. For a lot of people, that moment is drifting further into the past than KFC ever expected. In early 2025, KFC's U.S. sales slid nearly 5%, another chapter in a long stretch the company still insists is recovery mode. The bucket is still iconic, the secret blend hasn't changed, yet the seats around it grow emptier every year. What once felt like a slow Sunday meal now feels like a postcard from another era. The chicken isn't the problem, the pace is. KFC was built on the idea of time, slow marination, careful pressure cooking, flavor earned patiently. But the modern version swapped patience for speed. Sleeker stores, automated fryers, rapid-fire deals. All designed to push out food, not feelings. The recipe still whispers tradition, but now it speaks through a touchscreen. Expansive franchising added confusion. Different regions developed different menus, leaving customers unsure whether KFC is supposed to be Southern comfort or global fast casual. Meanwhile, rising competitors like Raising Cane's and Popeyes tightened their stories. They offered clarity, fewer items, sharper identity. KFC chased trends instead of guarding the comfort that once made it special. Then came cost pressure. To stay profitable, many locations trimmed staff, leaned on pre-prepped mixes, and cut cooking steps. Efficiency boosted speed, but drained soul. The chicken was still crispy, but the experience felt thinner. A quick bite you forget before the box even cools. Marketing tried to pull the heartstrings. Commercials dipped into nostalgia with warm lighting and the Colonel's soft Southern charm. But memories don't refill dining rooms. They just make you miss what used to be. KFC isn't falling apart, it's losing its anchor. It sits between tradition and trend, between comfort food and convenience. And when a recipe built on patience becomes automated, the flavor starts tasting a little like history. Famous memories don't guarantee a fresh tomorrow. Number 6. Pizza Hut. A family of 4 sits quietly in a booth, the only occupied table in the dining room. The parents scroll their phones between bites. The kids sip from cups that used to be bottomless. The old jukebox near the salad bar hasn't played anything in years. Outside, the red roof glows like a relic rather than an invitation. Pizza Hut's U.S. same-store sales are down about 5% in 2025. Rumors say Yum Brands is considering a sale as dine-in locations disappear one by one. The chain that once owned Friday Night is now a name you scroll past in a list of delivery options, stuck between faster rivals and its fading nostalgia. The decline didn't hit all at once. It was a slow fade, a bulb replaced here, a dining room closed there. When Domino's embraced delivery and digital tools early on, Pizza Hut stayed loyal to booths, carpets, and those iconic red cups. That hesitation turned tradition into a setback. Eventually, Pizza Hut leaned into delivery, but the magic had already thinned out. Rising costs made the old model nearly impossible to sustain. Cheese inflation, staffing shortages, and the expense of operating large dine-in spaces chipped away at the brand's heart. Families who once gathered for pan pizza under dim lamps now gather on apps comparing promo codes. The book it rewards, the hot pan arriving at the table, the sound of plates clinking, replaced by cardboard boxes and loading bars. For many communities, the local Pizza Hut wasn't just a restaurant, it was a ritual, the pause at the end of a long week. When those dining rooms closed or shrank, something small and familiar vanished with them. Takeout locations may be efficient, but they don't breathe. They buzz with timers instead of laughter. What remains of Pizza Hut is mostly memory. You can still taste it, but the flavor comes from recollection. The buttery crust, the cheese stretching as kids fought over it, the warmth of a booth shared with family. Today's version feels like a lighter echo, a corporate shadow of what once felt personal. Behind a counter, under the hum of a vent fan, a lone employee wipes the surface and exhales. Some days, he says, it feels like we're just reheating the past. Number 7. Taco Bell. Pizza Hut faded when people stopped sitting down. Taco Bell, oddly enough, is fading because people never really lingered there in the first place. The chain was built for motion, late-night cravings, drive-through jokes, food you could order impulsively and rethink immediately after. That wild, youthful energy once made it legendary. Today, it's starting to drain it. For years, Taco Bell thrived on pure unpredictability. Every season brought another quirky creation. Neon-colored shells, mashups no chef would dare, breakfasts that felt like dares. It worked brilliantly, until it didn't. When everything is a spectacle, nothing feels special. What used to be excitement now feels like déjà vu on repeat. Customers open the menu screens and face a wall of choices that look more like a puzzle than a meal. Eventually, they pick something familiar because the novelty has turned into noise. Prices push the fatigue even further. The value menu that defined the brand's identity now inches toward $9–10 meals. Rising wages, ingredient costs, and non-stop marketing turn cheap fun into fast food with a surcharge. Inside the stores, the shift is quieter but real. Smaller crews juggle more orders. Digital boards flick through items that appear and disappear in weeks. The food still comes out hot, loud, and colorful, but the humor, the wink, the sense of belonging that once surrounded the brand feels dimmer. The restaurants now operate like smooth machines instead of quirky hangouts. By mid-2025, the slowdown became official. Nearly a decade of steady growth stalled. Analysts pointed at menu burnout and the declining late-night crowd, fewer college students out past midnight, fewer road trips, fewer nights spent curing boredom with a crunch wrap at 1 a.m. The magic that made Taco Bell irresistible became predictable. Innovation used to be its heartbeat. Now it's background noise. The flashes of creativity are still there, a bold flavor here, a one-month special there, but they don't land with the same surprise. Customers expect the twist, so the trick no longer delights. Taco Bell didn't stumble because it stopped experimenting. It stumbled because it never stopped, and the audience grew numb. The purple glow still shines by the highway, loud and confident, but the spark behind it isn't as wild as it once was. Even chaos, it turns out, eventually runs out of breath. Number 8. Chipotle. Even the tidiest brand can't dodge a storm. Chipotle was once the clean-cut hero of fast food, proof you could grab something quick without feeling guilty. Steamy rice, real vegetables, burritos wrapped with care. It felt modern and honest, like fast food had finally grown up. But 2025 brought cracks to the glass. Foot traffic dipped. Sales shrank.
The company cut its outlook. Investors panicked, and the stock dropped 15% in a single day. The chain that built an empire on simplicity suddenly needed more than extra guac to fix its problems.
Chipotle's biggest strength quietly became its weakness. The model was too perfect, too predictable. Every store looks and behaves exactly the same. Same silver pans, same clang of metal, same cilantro scent. What once promised transparency now feels like repetition. The open kitchen looks more like an assembly line than a place where food is crafted. The menu barely shifts. And when it does, the changes feel like tweaks, not ideas. A new filling, a seasonal bowl, a plant-based option that costs more but excites fewer. The system still works, it just doesn't move people the way it used to. The bowls that once symbolized clean eating now feel like minimalist routine served in foil. Behind the counter, the pressure is constant. Automation speeds up prep. Online orders stack endlessly. A brand originally built on warmth and mindfulness now runs on efficiency and momentum. The more optimized it becomes, the colder the experience feels. Competitors noticed. Small taquerias, fresh casual startups, even grocery store kitchens began offering what Chipotle forgot: human touch. A smile at the counter, a plate instead of a paper bowl. A moment that feels like someone actually cooked the food, not assembled it. Chipotle doesn't have a quality problem. It has a connection problem. It perfected the process so well that it accidentally removed the presence. The future of fast casual might still shine brightly, but only for brands that remember why food matters beyond calories. Good food fills your stomach. Good moments fill your memory. Chipotle once offered both, and if it wants to keep the crown, it has to bring the people back into the picture. Number 9. Popeyes. Every evening, that familiar orange glow stretches across the sidewalk, carrying the scent of spice, oil, and the kind of comfort only Popeyes can claim. The aroma still turns heads before people even see the sign. It's warm, bold, and unmistakable. But behind that flavor, something else hangs in the air: pressure, fatigue, and the weight of a brand holding itself together. For years, Popeyes thrived on taste alone. While competitors chased apps, tech, and healthy alternatives, Popeyes stuck to soul: crunchy batter, fiery seasoning, and food that felt like home. At its peak, it didn't just sell chicken, it sold a cultural moment. One sandwich turned the entire country into a waiting line. But hype isn't infinite. What begins as a victory eventually becomes expectation, and expectation is costly. By mid-year, U.S. same-store sales had dipped again. Franchise owners pointed to rising wages, jumps in ingredient prices, and delivery platforms cutting deeper into profits. Inflation didn't tap on the door, it kicked it down. Even the best seasoning can't cover the taste of math. Some locations scaled back hours. Others raised prices until a combo felt more like a splurge than comfort food. Inside, the soundscape has changed too. Workers move fast, juggling tickets, fryers, and digital orders. The smell is familiar, but the joy behind it feels thinner. The once celebrated kitchen rhythm now resembles controlled chaos. Even the signature orange uniforms look weary under the bright lights. Still, the flavor remains. One bite still delivers that satisfying crunch: salty, spicy, nostalgic. But loyalty cracks when price climbs and portions shrink. For every customer praising the taste, another notes the inconsistency: the slower service, the stretched thin staff. Popeye's sprawling franchise system brought its magic nationwide, but it also made consistency harder to control. And yet, beneath the exhaustion, something stubborn refuses to fade: pride, flavor, identity. The heartbeat that made Popeyes iconic still flickers in the background. Maybe that's what gives it a fighting chance. if the company remembers that seasoning isn't just a recipe, it's a promise. The flavor didn't fail. The system simply wore out. Number 10. Red Robin. At the edge of a half-empty mall, a lone neon bird still glows, trembling across shuttered storefront windows. Inside, forks clink lightly in a space that once overflowed with birthday songs, family chatter, and bottomless fries. Red Robin wasn't just a burger place, it was a tradition, the kind of restaurant people returned to because it felt familiar. But in 2025, familiarity isn't enough. The company announced plans to close up to 70 locations, using words like portfolio optimization and lease alignment. Analysts translated it bluntly: survival mode, survival. Mall traffic has collapsed since the pandemic. Casual dining, once the heartbeat of the American middle class, now shrinks between two extremes: cheap fast food and premium experiences. Red Robin sits uncomfortably in the middle, a place where fewer people choose to linger. Rising rent, higher wages, and increasing food costs have squeezed profits to historic lows. Burgers still taste great, but the money behind each plate is nearly gone. Delivery apps were supposed to fill the gap, but instead take a painful bite out of every order. For a brand built on warmth and sit-down service, digital sales feel strangely hollow. Its biggest selling point, handcrafted comfort, has turned into a liability. In a world where convenience is king, a 10-minute wait for a dine-in burger feels old-fashioned. Younger guests want speed, customization, and ease. Apps, not atmospheres. Nostalgia just can't pay the bills. Yet when you walk into one of the surviving locations, something soft flickers. Warm wood, soft lighting, the subtle clatter that once felt like home. Guests eat slowly, almost knowingly, as if aware they're witnessing the twilight of a dining era. Industry observers say Red Robin's struggle isn't about flavor, it's about timing. A brand stuck between human service and digital convenience. The food is still satisfying, it's the world around it that changed. And when a restaurant built on celebration fades into quiet, the silence feels strangely personal. Some places don't end in drama. They simply dim their lights with dignity. For decades, these 10 names shaped American eating: road trips, shopping days, late-night runs, and comfort meals after long weeks. They didn't just feed us, they created a rhythm in everyday life. What we're seeing now isn't collapse, it's transition. Technology, inflation, and lifestyle shifts are rewriting what convenience means. The brands we grew up with may be shrinking, but the spirit that built them, creativity, connection, and comfort, is finding new homes. When old signs fade, new kitchens come alive. Smaller, local, more thoughtful. The past may be changing, but the future can still feel like home if we choose to support food that's honest, human, and real. Restaurants aren't just places to eat, they reflect who we are and who we're becoming. This analysis isn't meant to divide or criticize the United States. Its purpose is understanding, exploring trends, culture, and the changing landscape of everyday life while respecting the Constitution and all federal guidelines. If today's deep dive spoke to you, drop a comment, share your thoughts, and make sure to like, subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss the next independent breakdown.